Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We are live once again. I'm Matt Quick with HireMilitary. We are live on LinkedIn and Facebook. And if you're on Facebook, watching this now live or later on down the road, get yourself a LinkedIn account if you don't have one yet. Social media is great. Professional social media is much better on LinkedIn. So, hey, we brought on Donovan Fontenot today. He's a transitioned Marine. He went through the transition process a couple months ago. And this is our second straight Marine on here. I'm not biased, but I got my start in the Marine Corps, so I do like bringing Marines on because, listen, it's a good environment, good culture, and we care about each other really a lot, right? So, hey, Donovan, welcome to the show. Welcome to the live, and let's talk about today why you joined the military in the first place, how your transition was, and how the military service set you up for success for your new career.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on here, Matt. So I joined the Marine Corps in 2011, graduated in 08. I talked to a recruiter, ended up not joining. His replacement contacted me a few months later. By the time I went down to the recruiting station to join, the individual who had replaced my original recruiter was now the staff NCO of that RS.
Okay.
So took him 3 years, but he finally got me.
Hey, good things happen to those who wait, right?
I guess so. I guess I was that fine bottle of wine for him.
Oh, good. There you go.
Yeah. But so I joined on originally an Intel contract, but they had a pile of things going on. I ended up not getting down to the MEPS to take my D-Lab test, and so my contract changed. I signed a communications and communications utilities contract, and I ended up in the communications field.
So it wasn't an open contract like they're famous for?
No, they were better. They were better to me than that one.
All right, good.
But I guess they just got tired of seeing my face, and they didn't want to treat me bad in there.
Some things happen, you know.
Yeah, but so I was kind of hoping to become a generator mechanic because I'd spent a couple of years in trade school to be an electrician, and then I ended up as communications, go to comm school, and hung out in the waiting platoon for a couple of weeks. And instead of becoming a radio operator, I became a network administrator. They were the data cyber network operators, or
okay.
I think that's what we were originally called, those 651s.
So I got two questions, or one question on LinkedIn real fast, and it seems like it's a pretty important question. Where did you go to boot camp at?
Parris Island.
All right, good deal. So we can keep going. If not, I wouldn't have ended it. It would have got awkward though. So Parris Island, good deal, man. Keep going. These damn Marines, right?
Yeah. So I had the opportunity. They asked if anybody wanted to become a data Marine while we're in the waiting platoon, and I had a recruiter very strongly suggest that if we had the opportunity to learn how to play with computers, because it would work out for us in the future. So after comm school, I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan with the 3rd Marine Division Communications Company. I got to hone in my skills and my craft, and then I spent almost 4 years here in New Orleans at the headquarters for the reserves.
You got stationed in New Orleans in the Marine Corps?
Correct. So
nice.
Mar Flores headquarters is down here. The headquarters is 10 or 15 miles from the Navy base. That's the Navy Air Station that's down here. So a lot of the single guys are living on the base in Belle Chase, and then they're working up here in New Orleans, right across the river from downtown.
Okay.
But so I got stationed here running the enterprise network for the reserves for almost 4 years, and then I went.
So you were in school. Someone asked you to volunteer. Things you're not supposed to be doing, volunteering for things, right? You did it anyway.
That was before I knew better.
So you volunteered and it worked out for you, right?
Correct. It was. I regretted it because the first couple of courses that I went through, or the beginning of my comm school, was very difficult. Learning the insides and outsides and software, hardware, everything about the computers. It was a difficult thing for somebody who used a computer to get on Facebook and MySpace and ESPN.
Hey, don't age yourself, man. Don't say MySpace, all right? No one knows what it is. Say like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all right?
Oh, okay. All right.
But you volunteer for this, which isn't a bad thing. Volunteering is a good thing. You
Yeah.
volunteered, you went through your hardships because school is not easy. But you learned, you adapted, you overcame, and now you had a successful Marine Corps career, which you got out because listen, the Marine Corps is not easy. I got it after 4 years, so you did way more not time than I did in the Marine Corps. So you hung in there, right? But you had a good transition. You're successful on the outside, all because you volunteered. You went to the school that, hey, for data Marines, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. I mean, it makes transitioning a lot easier than I would say in a lot of other fields in the military, because a lot of what we do directly correlates to what's outside. Um, other fields like logistics or embarkation, like they have a logistics and embarkation field, but the granularity that it's broken down within the military versus the civilian world doesn't always line up.
So yours is an easy translatable skill from the Marine Corps to the civilian world, correct?
Yes, because I mean we use a lot of commercial equipment. They just put it in fancy green boxes for us.
Which are always nice. Hey, before we go into your transition, if you're on the HireMilitary LinkedIn page, so we just posted on there that we have a new partner with us that offers DoD internship, DoD SkillBridge internship programs. It's called Made in Space. So if you're on the LinkedIn page, if you're not on the LinkedIn page, get there. And when you get there, look at the new our new partner, Made in Space. Look at the opportunities. So those that want to go maybe to Space Force later on, like a guy we knew a couple interviews ago, um, give it a shot. Patrick O'Donohue, he's in Space Force now, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Made in Space because a new partner this morning, and I didn't want to bypass him. So Donovan, keep it up. So how was your transition, and what kind of challenges did you experience transitioning from California, right?
Yeah, so I think probably my biggest hurdle I had was uh, figuring out where I wanted to go and how to get there, right? So the only thing I knew for certain is that I did not want to stay in California. I just, that was the only thing I knew is that I'm not staying there. And from that point, you're surrounded by a bunch of resources that are available to everybody in the area. San Diego, Oceanside. There's Vet CTAP. There's a pile. They have two different onward opportunity cohorts running
Oh yeah, it's big.
all the time. When you're around a lot of military places, they have better resources more readily available.
And
And
especially in San Diego, because Chris Thorne down there, my counterpart, HireMilitary, he's down there, and he can talk you through some resources.
yeah, but so I start looking around. I wanted to come back to Louisiana, was what I really wanted to do, but it's difficult to find IT jobs in a state where they don't have a whole bunch of IT jobs. So I set my sights on Houston, Texas, because they have like Houston and Dallas Fort Worth both have large IT markets, and I figured I'd be able to find something in those areas. And I looked and I searched. I applied for almost 1,000 jobs, and I couldn't get on the phone with anybody. I couldn't get people to call me back. Did a couple
Why do you think
interviews.
that is? If you apply for 1,000 jobs, you couldn't get a call back. What do you think you're doing wrong? Now, in hindsight, of course.
Oh no! In hindsight, I didn't have a connection to somebody either in the company or that could introduce me to somebody in the company.
Bam, there it is,
Um,
right there.
I was able to uh, get a couple of interviews, and I think the interviews I went through were extremely helpful because by the time I found the right fit, which is the position that I have now with Next Gen Data Systems, I was comfortable in the interview. I was accustomed to talking to 3 or 4 people at a time that I've never talked to before,
It
and
can be scary.
yeah, but um, I think I've learned a lot in the past year about networking, and it's not just adding somebody or shaking somebody's hand and never talking to them again, but the true engagement that you and uh, Michael Quinn push us to do. I think I finally got into doing a little bit of that. And
It's not easy, but I tell you from experience and those that give feedback, it's definitely worth it. Especially if you call yourself an introvert, because I'm not a big extrovert. I like going out, but I'm not a big crowd person, but I will
yeah,
get over that just to get people to come out of their comfort zones too. So if I can maybe lead by example, I will do that. So hopefully you'll be the next generation.
I'm trying. So I've been reaching out to people with similar backgrounds. Just found a couple of guys in San Antonio, veteran advocates here in the state, like one of the guys that works for LSU Baton Rouge as a student veteran advocate. Found him on LinkedIn. We had similar backgrounds, so we reached out and said, "Hey, man, looks like we both kind of want to do the same thing. Let's chat a little bit." And so I've been building and growing my network a little bit. I think I'm doing a lot better at it now than I was 12 months ago.
Well, listen, we're not experts originally, but the more time you put into it, the better off you're going to be. So you're making connections already. And with your transition, what kind of tools did you use during transition? And we'll get back to your post military career, but talk about transition. What tools did you use to hopefully set yourself up for success?
So I utilized the Marine Cool program, right? So they pay for certification exams. I was able to get a couple of certifications prior to getting out that they paid for, which saved me $300-400 out of pocket cost.
That's big.
Yep. And then used the onward opportunity to further my certifications and my knowledge. Trying to get my CISSP.
Did you pass?
I haven't completed my coursework. I completed coursework. I still have to do my practice exams.
Okay.
And get my voucher. So.
Listen, you're not the only one. Listen, I took my SPHR, and Chris, I'm sorry about this. I haven't taken the test yet. I've been through the training. I'm one of the bad examples that, listen, life just takes over sometimes. So if learn from my mistakes, set yourself some time to do this, because I didn't, but I will. I'll get it done, and I'll credit Kenneth Mays from the Onward Opportunity team here in Fort Bragg. I'll credit them when it's done. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
So I used Onward Opportunity. I worked with the USO Pathfinders.
Great.
And then I spent a lot of time talking with Jay Garcia and the Fort Vet program as well.
Okay. But did you ever get a DoD skill bridge opportunity?
I did not. I didn't really look into it a whole. I knew it was there, and I didn't personally look into it a whole lot.
Now, looking back, would you have looked into more and tried that route?
So I've the one that interested me the most was MSSA, the Microsoft program through Embry-Riddle.
Mm-hmm.
And originally I wasn't going to work towards a degree, so I didn't want to go to do a 6-month program working towards my degree that I wasn't going to get. I changed my mind since then, but I didn't find one that I thought fit what I wanted to do at the time.
Okay, so maybe what we're trying to say to everybody out there is do your research, get in there early. If you're 12 months out from separation, get on the HireMilitary page, get your profile built, get in contact with employers. We help you. HireMilitary helps you. We're there for you. But the Microsoft Software and Systems Academy, MSSA, great program too. That rivals Onward Opportunity for those looking to get into the IT field with certs, with the clearance, great opportunities. And they're probably in 25 locations around the world. So definitely good opportunity there. So MSSA, you talked about LinkedIn, your networking, Onward Opportunity. So you did all the right things. And did all that lead to you getting a job, or how'd that work out for you?
I think it all helped. I didn't network appropriately during my transition process. I look back at it about 3 days ago. I was on the phone with one of my friends and helping him get his stuff set up for his transition. He's actually going to be doing the MSSA program.
Good.
He starts in a couple of weeks. But I was chatting with him and I sent him my resume so he can look over it and see what I have.
So he can plagiarize it, right?
What's that?
so he can plagiarize it, right? We know what's
Oh
up.
no, not at all. He actually he let me know that I did a terrible job writing
Ooh,
mine.
ouch! Look at you trying to mentor somebody, and they're calling you out. What
It's
is the deal
okay,
with
but
that?
that's the relationship me and him have.
That's good right there.
We were stationed together for almost 2 years in Japan, and then almost another 2 years in San Diego. It was nice. I had a couple of buddies that I already knew was at the unit, so I requested to go there and ended up with about 6 or 7 guys I spent my first couple of years in the Marine Corps with.
Honest
But
feedback. That's the most important feedback we can give. It's
yes,
not always hard. It's not always easy to hear, but it's always great to hear, though, right?
yeah. So I would say that I actually I didn't transition very well. I landed on my feet, but what really helped me get to where I am right now is being a reasonable person to work with and having a good relationship with some of my past coworkers. So some of the contractors that I was working with when I was stationed in New Orleans were actually able to help me get the job I have now.
So you maintain the bridges. You didn't burn any bridges when you left there, right?
Correct.
So that, hey, relationship building, it takes time, and if done properly, it lasts as long as some bridges last. Like there's some bridges that last hundreds of years. I'm not saying our networks will last hundreds of years because we'll die eventually, but it's a good analogy, and just nurture those relationships, and eventually they may pay off, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I was very fortunate. I mean, I was looking at coming back to the area. I was still searching for jobs. I reached out to a buddy and I say, hey, man, I get out in a couple of weeks. I think I want to go back to New Orleans. And he just replied with, great, man, send me a resume. We have a spot open. And then his company called the next day and like, hey, I need you to go apply for this job and we'll do an interview tomorrow. Sounds good? I was like, yes, ma'am. Sounds great.
That's simple, huh?
Pretty cool. I met all the qualifications. I had a good internal referral. Got through my technical interview appropriately. So now I've done the onboarding process and submitted for all of my accounts and just kind of waiting to do more and grow within my current role.
Do you just work from home, or how does that work for you right now?
So the first day of work was a orientation phone call. So I did that from home. Day two,
Okay.
I went down to base and got my ID, and I was called my supervisor and, hey, I got my ID now. So you want me to come to work tomorrow? And that was on March 17th. And he said, no, you're going to work from home for an undetermined amount of time.
Just like everybody else, right?
It's like, sir, I just
don't know how.
spent 3 weeks at home. Like I just did that.
Are you married?
I am.
Does your wife like you being at home all the time?
Actually, she does not. She doesn't like being home all the time either. She started a job with an accounting firm about 7 or 8 days before I started my new position. So my terminal leave was ending. She started a new job, and then we all started working from home. And the first couple of days were really cool because the kids were still in daycare, but then daycare closed. And I have 3 children. My oldest one is 3. It's 3, 2, and 1. It's about like living in the zoo most days.
So I don't hear anything in the background, so they must be sleeping, right?
Oh no, we got daycare again. They opened up the door, so the kids get to go and they play with children their age. They get away from the house for a couple hours.
You get some sanity.
Yeah, and then the adults get a little bit of sanity and room to breathe.
That's nice. Well, as soon as you can get to work, man, I'm sure your wife would appreciate you working, but do not leave her home alone with the kids all the time, right?
Exactly.
Pull your weight, right? Hey, so we walked through the whys, we walked through the hows. So really, how you got your job is you had a network that you nurtured over the years. You reached back out to them when you're getting out. They provided an internal referral to you, to a hiring manager. Hiring manager says, "Hey, you meet the qualifications, apply, call you for interview. You pass all the assessments, right?" But the main thing is you had a network that worked for you, but you didn't ask for them things all the time. You provided probably some value, and at the end, it worked out for you, right?
Yes.
Hey, so I'm going to go through a question here. One of the questions is, they see HireMilitary helping veterans. How do you cross over from a transition to helping others transition? And I think you mentioned part of that because you're helping someone transition that you sent your resume to. and he gave you feedback. But you've already transitioned now. You know the hurdles you overcame to become a transition, I guess, mentor. You can do it. You're qualified now to be a mentor, right?
Technically, yes. I still feel like there's a lot. I mean, I always want to learn more. You know more than I do about transitioning, and there are others that know more than I do. And it's either because you've experienced something different during your transition, or like a lot of the things you pick up in the military, you've learned because somebody asked you about a question that you couldn't answer.
True.
And so I'm working on mentoring a few guys now and helping them find employment, whether it's if I know a company that's hiring or I found a job posting and I know the recruiter, and trying to leverage the connections I have to help others, and then provide a little bit of feedback on resumes, and I'm just trying to help guys land on their feet as best as I can.
And the more conversations we have like these and the more content we see on LinkedIn, just sharing your experiences, just sharing your personal stories helps so many people grow, because there's some Marines, there's some airmen, some soldiers, some Coast Guardsmen, some Space Force people soon that's going to transition, and we got to watch out for them because they're going to lean back on us. Listen, I transitioned 18 months ago. I'm not sure how long my shelf life is in this space. But people like Donovan, Patrick O'Donovan, those people right there can and Charles Wells, they can be there because they're transitioning now. They can be a mentor that's someone that comes behind them and give them the fresh perspective. That's what we need. So you didn't just transition or give guidance. You're actually taking it to the next level. How's that?
So I really wanted. I searched a lot whenever I was transitioning for a veteran support organization in Louisiana that provided some form of transition assistance, whether it was mentorship, resume review, or assistance finding jobs. And I couldn't find anything based out of Louisiana. And I wasn't looking for somebody who had a representative down here. I didn't even think about doing that at all. I just wanted to find a veteran support organization based out of Louisiana that I could work with. And I wasn't able to. And I was fortunate because I was stationed here for 4 years. So I was able to make personal connections to people, working with them a couple of years, keeping up with them after I left. And that paid off for me. But the thought I had in my mind is if I had transitioned from, let's say, Okinawa, Japan, and I grew up anywhere in Louisiana, but I knew nobody in my field, and I knew nobody in the area I wanted to go to, how would I get there? And I know it happens because a lot of the guys I've talked to as they transition, a lot of the Marines I was in charge of, they get out and what's your plan? And I'm just going to pack up and go home. And it's like, but what's at home?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that do it. It's easier on guys who are single and they've only done 4 years and they're still young, and they can pick up and just move home and have a rough transition and still end up okay. I think it's a lot more stressful for anybody that's either married or married with children.
Or 3 small children, right?
Yes. And then you have to figure out how to buy milk and diapers and new clothes because they grow like insane. But so I wanted to start something down here, and I actually had a bad idea. I named it Veterans in Louisiana, and if you Google veterans in any state, all you get is a pile of VA hospitals and resources. So I've got to struggle to climb to the top of the list of Google searches. But
do you know how?
Tagging photos, website visits, social media pages, just a big online presence. And as soon as everything's registered through the state and you can be searched through the state databases, you start climbing that list. And the more people that visit the page, the better off you are. So
Google Analytics, there might be a course I heard about today that provides some of this information for you. But look into that, and we'll talk later on about how to increase your Google ranking. I've been doing website now for 16 years, and I'm kind of a nerd in that aspect. So it's all self-taught, but I'm learning more and more as I go. And we'll work on Veterans in Louisiana, a almost certified nonprofit that you've established to help people transitioning either to or from Louisiana, right?
Correct. So we've got the Navy Air Station Joint Force Reserve Base down here in Belle Chase. The headquarters for Marine Forces Reserve is in Algiers, which is across the river from downtown New Orleans. And then we've got the Air Force Base up in Bossier City,
Okay.
just south of Shreveport, and then Fort Polk. So I'm working now. I just called the transition coordinator on the Navy Air Station to try to work a way into their career fairs when they do them. Either go and set up a table and just talk to people, or if there's an opportunity for me to work my way into helping provide something at their transition course. So,
and that's how you do it. You've transitioned yourself. You were successful in your transition, and that I guess that term or definition varies based on your own personal preference. But you transitioned successfully, and now you're not even mentoring people. You're building a small organization within Louisiana to help those in the area. So, hey, kudos to you, because too many people just transition successfully or not, and they just disappear because they got what they want out of it, and that's fine. But there are some people that want to give back and just share their stories and help others out. So is there anything else you want to share about a possible transition in the future again?
So the uniquest part about my transition is my wife was active duty as well. We met whenever she came down to New Orleans. She got here about 8 months after I did. We met, we got married. She got out in July of 2017, and she's been either in school or stay-at-home mom for the last few years. And then actually a couple of weeks ago, she contacted the prior service recruiter. She enlisted from the IR into the reserves.
Oh, nice.
She just started active orders on yesterday, and she's working to get an active reserve package put together, which would put her back on active duty. So,
in Louisiana with you, right?
Yes, at least for now.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and make an assumption here, because you mentioned that your wife enjoyed your home for that very first couple of days. But then you guys, being at home all the time, did this being a home work affect her choices to rejoin the Marine Corps at all?
I really hope that's
I don't
not
want to
what
assume it. Maybe it's a question you ask her, not on here though, right? You ask her in your own private settings.
So I've joined the military, successfully transitioned out of the military, and now I'm transitioning to being a dependent.
Hey, I tell you, I have a dependent. I have a military spouse, and I don't like calling her dependent because, like I said, I'm dependent on her for a lot of things. So I'm more dependent on her than I am on just about anybody else. So, but you're going to enjoy your role because you're already showing things that you can support others, and you're really being selfless when you support others. So continue that with your active duty Marine, your spouse. Make sure you support her fully, like she supported you over the years, right?
Yeah.
Well, good. So is there anything you want to add to this, to talk about why employers should hire veterans, or any tips that you want to leave us with as you get back to your duties?
I think the biggest thing that a lot of people do during their transition is they undersell themselves. I did it. I know that there are a lot of other people that do it, and it's I think I know I've seen a lot of people oversell themselves on a daily basis, right? That guy you work with that did your task, their task, and 3 other tasks without doing a whole bunch. So I wanted to make sure I didn't do that, but by underselling myself, I ended up on a lower rung of the ladder than I should have. I was still successful. I think I landed on my feet and I'm doing good, but I could have been doing better had I better prepared myself and not undersold.
And 2 things. Let's. What are the 2 things you may have tried, or maybe if you look back in hindsight, what would you have changed? Maybe 2 or 3 things you've changed.
So my resume, right? I listed myself as a manager, like a network administration manager, and that is the role I was in, but I also acted a lot as a network engineer, which would have given me a little bit better position than what I have now.
So using the terms manager over engineer put you back?
Yes.
Wow. Good. That's good. That's some powerful advice right there, especially in your field. So other fields it may be different, but in your field specifically, engineer is more important, more valuable than a manager?
100%.
Okay. And you would have used DoD Skill Bridge or looked more into it, right?
Yeah, I think if I had planned my transition a lot better, I would have definitely done the Skills Bridge. It just everything got crazy when I decided to transition. Like me and my wife discussed it. I had a pile of things I had to do. I had a checklist, and I was knocking them off one at a time. We actually spent the last 8 months of my active duty apart. So,
and that's not easy.
No, that was not easy. Because it's stressful for one person to have 3 tiny kids, and then the second that you're the single staff NCO, in any military branch, I'm sure you get a lot more attention than the guy who gets to go home and change diapers.
That's true. Well, we have a few comments. If you can go back on your own time, Donovan, and look at the comments in the feed and answer some of the questions, it looks like some people know you. They're watching you right now. I'm not sure if they say you're lying or not, but that's between you and them. That's fine. But they're saying you're awesome. So Shannon says you're awesome. And Jeffrey's known you for years, and you're a great mentor and supporter. So Jeffrey, have an offline conversation with him. So we look forward to hopefully seeing more from you on LinkedIn, seeing what veterans in Louisiana can do for more veterans. And most importantly, I want to see you as a military spouse, how you support the whole community, because you'll be one of the newest military spouses. So let's get it, Donovan.
I'm going to do my best. I'm actually working on getting on the wives page now.
Okay, good deal. So it better be a spouse's page too. So they better change that. 95% are females. I get that, but the males, they exist too. Don't forget about them, including them.
All right.
So again, I'll be on tomorrow again, 2 p.m. East Coast time, and you won't want to miss this because I've got someone coming on tomorrow, not a military spouse. Sorry about that. It's Wednesdays, but no one showed up. But I got someone that's been in White House communications, joint staff, transitioned successfully, and he went from enlisted to officer. So tune in tomorrow, 2 p.m. East Coast time. Donovan, thank you very much today for your time, and get back to your wife because she probably needs you. I may hear some kids back there. I'm not sure, but thanks for your time today. And anybody wants to reach out to Donovan, look up on Donovan Fontenot. He's mentioned or tagged in the post. Come on here and check him out, connect with him, and learn about how you can do your transition better as well. Donovan, again, thank you very much, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you too, Matt.
Thanks, man.